Hi everyone, good evening.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming to our 9th annual Distinguished Lecture Series. We have two amazing presenters here to share their journey with you from when they were students just like you here at Brockport. We'll let these couple friends come on in and grab seats. But I just want to talk about one thing. If your professor said that you could get some extra credit for being here, I have these little yellow pieces of paper. At the end, myself and Dr. Fontana will be over at the end doors. If you need one of these, you can put your name, your instructor's names, the course, and this is proof of being here. You can show them. Just take one each. You can put both of the professors down and just show this if you need to have some type of proof that you were actually here, okay? So those will be handed out at the end of the lecture. I'm going to ask Dr. Beach to come up to give our first introduction, and we will get the show started. Thank you so much for being here. Proud of you all.
So it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Penny McCullough. So I have notes here because she has done a lot, so I want to keep on track. So she's coming back to Brockport to share her journey at Brockport and her journey from Brockport beyond. Penny is a professor emerita from California State University, East Bay. But she's far from living the retired life. So she's currently the executive director for the North American Society for the Psychology of Sport and Physical Activity, which is typically known as NASPA, if anyone's heard of that before. And she's the editor of Kinesiology Today, which some of you may have heard about a little bit in a class today, as well as the American Kinesiology Association. She is particularly proud of holding the president position at 4 different societies, including NASPA, which I just mentioned, which is actually where I first met Penny many years ago, and she has pretty much run that conference for like 30 years. She's been very pivotal in that organization, which has grown quite a bit. She's really helped NASPA as well as the American Kinesiology Association, which is kind of like the overarching association for all kinesiology programs. Penny initially came to Brockport from Canada as a recreation and psychology major, but she quickly realized that was the wrong thing for her, and she switched to a sports science major. And then she learned about this, in quotes, new academic program. She graduated in December of '71 in sports science and went on to the University of Washington to complete a master's degree, and then on to complete her PhD at the University of Wisconsin in 1976. She has taught at UC Davis, University of Colorado, and California State University, East Bay. Her primary research area over the years was in observational learning, and those of you in 439 tomorrow will get to hear more about that. Which is how we modify both physical and psychological skills as a function of watching others. She has more than 50 publications, 50 invited talks, and over 100 research presentations. So let's give Penny a warm Brockport welcome.
She gave my talk, so there's nothing else I can share. I'm really glad to be here. As Pam said, I left here in 1972. That was 52 years ago. Most of your parents weren't born yet. So I was here a long time ago, but I would not be standing in front of you today if I hadn't been here. Brockport changed my life. And so I hope I can share some of that with you. Also, I got to go first because Pete allowed me to. And I just met him at dinner, and his stories will be a lot funnier. So it's good he goes second, because if you're dropping off by then, people liven it up for us. Am I alive here? Okay. Here's a little bit about my history, okay, and my family. I grew up in Ontario, in Canada, and I was first generation college. Many of you may be first generation college. My dad finished grade 8, and my mom got all the way through grade 12. And so we didn't know much about college in our house. We didn't talk about going to college much, except my dad started, as we got a little bit older, he said, you go to school. Education is important. And I think it was important for him because he just never had the opportunity. So it's great that he kind of pushes for the college. My 2 sisters both have college degrees, one in microbiology, and my other sister was, I think it was sociology, I'm not sure, she really remembers. But she started answering phones at Scott Paper in Canada, a big company that makes toilet paper and paper towels, Scott Paper. She started answering the phone at the front desk and she was the vice president. So she was a worker bee. My niece, one has a PhD. My nephew is a bachelor's in human kinetics in Canada, but he's a registered kinesiologist, and he does workplace assessments. And my other niece went to college also, and she is now the director of operations at the community college in Canada. So education became important in our family, even though my dad didn't have much. My daughter never went to college, and she studied ballet. And her name's Kayla, same as Dr. Beach's daughter, who's also a dancer. So we have something in common there. She moved away from home at 14 years old and moved to Winnipeg in Canada and became a professional ballet dancer. I know I had someone once say to me, oh, well, she'll never be anything if she doesn't go to college. Well, she is somebody. And she was very, very successful, and she worked really hard. So I believe, if you're the fact that you're sitting in this room and you're a college student, I believe you can do anything you put your mind to it. Unleash your potential. That's the theme we're talking about. Anybody can do it. So she danced in Royal Winnipeg Ballet. She went on to dance in Royal Swedish Ballet. She also did ballet in British Columbia, and now she's an independent dancer. Here's some pictures of my daughter as a dancer. That's her in the middle, looks just like mom, right? She's 5'7". And there's she being very accomplished down in the right-hand corner. My daughter's on the side of a bus. Okay, I ran out in the street in Vancouver, British Columbia. There was my daughter. She never told me any of this stuff. There she is on the side of the bus. I ran out and took a picture of her. She's traveled all over the world. Here I am with my granddaughter and son-in-law in Tel Aviv. My daughter did 2 dance stints in Tel Aviv. Up there in the right-hand corner, I'm with my granddaughter in Rome. So my daughter's a famous one in the family, really. I just trail around after her and go around the world. I think I'm getting feedback from that. Pam talked a little bit about this already. I grew up in Canada. I went to community college in Canada, and then I went to teachers college. I was getting feedback some other things. And then some of my friends came across the border and came down to Brockport. I tried to get into university in Canada, and I couldn't get accepted. Brockport took me, and I'm glad they did. So I came across here, and I finished my bachelor's degree here at Brockport. I went on to do my master's at Washington, my PhD in Wisconsin. I've been physically active pretty much all of my life. I play sport in Canada. Basketball, yes, before 3-pointers, that's the only thing I could do. We didn't have 3-pointers there. I never got under the hoop, the big gals were under there. And so I played basketball and volleyball in Canada. We actually had real uniforms. As when we got on buses. This is the 1960s, folks. We didn't have Title IX because we didn't have bake sales. We actually got to play sport, real sport. We did have to play before the big basketball, but we still got to play sport. Then when I was doing my PhD, I played rugby. I played on the first Big Ten women's side rugby. I sprung half. We played full side 15. I was a swimmer. I've done long distance swims across Lake Tahoe. I did a marathon. So I've been physically active my entire life. So that's, I guess, why we're in this field and why many of you sitting in the room are in here, because you like physical activity. Here I was at Brockport. This was Brockport way back when, 52 years ago. And when I came here, I was going to be a psych major. And I lived in a rooming house down on Holly Street. And 3 women were there for the summer. I had a bedroom and we shared a kitchen. And they were PE majors. And they were coming to do with physical education teachers in the school. And they came back in the summer. And they said, what do you do? I said, I'm a psych major. I'm kind of interested in physical activity or sport or whatever. And they said, well, you should go over that PE building because they're changing things around over there. And so I did. And I came over to Tuttle. And Warren Fraley was the dean there. For some reason, you may really remember it. And this place was changing. It used to be 2 departments. a men's department and a women's department. I know that's beyond what some of you can think, but that's how it used to be. And then the departments were changing, it was becoming more academic. And I was here at a very unique time. I lived in Morgan Hall, which was a co-ed dorm. Not the same one Pete lived in, he's going to talk about that one. And when I was here, I worked 40 hours a week at the library. I worked at the library from 3 to 10 every day, and I went to school from 8 until 3. So I was pretty busy. I'm a real party animal. I have some friends in the room that know that, but when I was here, I was not, because I was too busy. So as an undergraduate student, I was pretty dedicated. Working and going to school was about all I could do. What happened here? Oh, there we go. These are the two people at Rockport that had the biggest influence on me. And they had a profound influence, and they still do to this day. Dan Landers, he's the guy on the right. I should have flipped the things around here. He's the guy on the right, the picture, but he's the guy on the left in the description here. He's the first editor of the Journal of Sport and Exercise Psychology, Division 47 president. He did early work, this is way back, okay, in the early 70s with the Olympic teams in sports psychology. I published my first paper as an undergraduate student with him. I didn't even know what that meant, really, but I did it anyways. And then he was married to many sports psych students. My second big mentor here was Bob Christina. Bob Christina was my first sports psych class that I took with Dan Gould. Maybe some of you know Dan Gould from his famous textbook, Why Word of Gould. He wrote a paper in 1989 that became the premise for a paper that a former graduate student, Frank, is in the audience here, that we used for a paper that we presented in an international conference. And then I had some other two teachers down at the bottom that some of you folks that have been around for a while will remember these folks as well. My primary research is observational learning, as Pam said, how you learn from other people. If you're in Dr. Beach's class, you'll hear all about it tomorrow, more than you want to know. And I'm not going to tell you about much of that tonight, okay? I'm just going to tell you that that's what I did. And what observational learning is how you learn from watching other people or yourself. So tomorrow, if you're in that class, you'll hear more than you ever wanted to know about observational learning. But I'm not going to tell you much more about that tonight, except I did a lot of work in that area. So Dan passed away last June with his family. And he did a lot of work with the Olympic training teams. He came to an AFER conference, I believe. I was giving a talk on observational learning, how you learn from watching yourself or other people. And he said, Penny, that's really interesting. I'm doing work with the Olympic archery team. I think you should come and try to do some work with them. So he brought me on board. And I got to work with the Olympic archery team over a couple of years. And what I did is I developed videotapes so that they could see themselves actually doing better than they actually could do. It's called feed forward, but we'll hear about that more tomorrow. And so I actually got to work with the Olympic team. This is Janet Beckman down here. She was a 3-time Olympian. And she loved the videotapes I was producing for her. So it was a really interesting project. And the only reason I got to do this was because of Dan Landers, who was a professor here. And he brought me on. And he taught me how to do research real as an undergraduate student. Taught me a lot of the rules about how you do it, how you do it correctly. So he was a friend, became a friend. He was my professor. But then after 50 years, he also becomes a friend. And he taught me a lot of things about doing research. The other guy is Dr. Bob Christina. I know I was in Mario's class this morning, and some of you heard a little bit about this guy. But Dr. Bob Christina was at Rockport also. And Dr. Christina, Mario, I may need your help on this one. Dr. Christina was a baseball coach here as well. And he was honored 2 years ago in 2022 because in 1972, Rockport won the state championship. I'm going to see if this works. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I want you to see a little bit about it. So, well, I don't know how to get rid of this. Start with that. Great one. How do I close this up? So I'll just show you a little bit about this, but this was one of my other mentor here, was Dr. Christina. And I know we have, how many baseball players in the room? We have a few guys from the team. Okay.
do want to take a moment and credit Coach Christina for the legacy that he built here at Brockport. The success and the impact on Brockport baseball and where it is today has so much to do with the foundation he set and his players and some of the things they have done for our program over the last 50 years, giving back. Watching the class of 72 connect that day at our alumni event, it was just proof to me that all the stuff that we talk about in terms of relationships and connections to each other, not necessarily just on the field, but off the field, and how relationships are built, and how the sport and our sport of Brockport baseball, it connects us through time.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, thanks. So I'll leave these slides. Dr. Beach will have the slides, so if you look, or you can YouTube it, you can find it on YouTube. But that was Dr. Christina, who was my first motor learning teacher and first sports psychic student. And he had a profound influence on his players, and he had a profound influence on me as a student. And I didn't play baseball. He went on after he retired to get into golf. He was very well known in the golf world for his research about motor skill learning, how to better learn skills in terms of sport, how to improve your sport. And it was really cool because he saw one of my presentations on observational learning at Wells at Providence. He said, Penny, I want you to come to Pinehurst. If you're a golfer, everybody know what Pinehurst is? Famous golf course. He said, I want you to come to Pinehurst. I'm doing a weekend seminar for the 50 top golf teachers in America. He said, I want you to come and give a talk. I said, wow. I flew into wherever I flew into at Pinehurst. I don't even know what city. They picked me up in the black car, with a driver and everything. We drove into Pinehurst. I got a bottle of water, cold water in the back. It was like really pretty cool. I never would have had that opportunity if it hadn't been for Dr. Christina for here. Also, other Brockport connections. Here's Dan Landers. He came to give a talk at my university when it was a Linus Speller. In the middle is Dan Gould, who's a very famous sports psychologist. We were in undergraduate class together here. We're still buddies and friends. I see him at conference every year. And on the right-hand side is Dr. Christina and Jane Clark, who graduated from Brockport about 2 years before I did, when they were named Distinguished Scholar at NASPA. And actually, Dan Gould is being named Distinguished Scholar at NASPA this year. It's a secret, don't tell it. So these are some of the people that I get to hang out with, and these are my friends. It's really cool. They're amazing. What I do after Brockport? Well, I did my master's, as Dr. Beach said, at the University of Washington. This is an interesting story. So it was when I left Brockport in August, and Dr. Landers and some students, Brockport students like Dan Gould, went to the Olympics. Well, I didn't. I moved to Washington. Dr. Landers was also moving to the University of Washington. He followed me. I got accepted first. And then he came to the university. Well, he was at the Olympics. All of his stuff was shipped to Seattle. Guess who unpacked his apartment? Right here. He came home, the bed was made and everything, groceries in the shelf, okay? And also his office at the university was all unpacked. All the books were arranged, pencils in the desk. He always had them sharpened all the same way, all fixed up. And I was going to start working on my master's degree, so I got to his office the first day, walked in and he said, oh, nice job, Penny, thanks for setting me up. And I said, no problem. And remember I told you I worked at the library 40 hours a week when I was here? Well, guess what? I was collecting articles for Dr. Writers and Dr. Christina's library. I got to Washington, he said, well, Penny, if I can run over to the library and give me a couple of research articles. I said, Dr. Landers, I'm working on my master's degree now, and I think I need to spend some time working on my own research. So we're just going to have to find a new student because I can't do that job anymore. So we found a new one, and I didn't run to the library for it, except in a pinch. Okay. Then I took a sabbatical replacement job at UC Davis, and it took me a long time to get a tenure track job. This was not an easy course that I was on. Anyways, I plugged away, I did some part-time jobs, and I didn't have a real job. And then I did get a real job at the University of Colorado at Boulder. And I was there for 20 years, or 19 years, whatever, 20, I just say 20, close enough. I had to leave. Things changed in the department, it was unbearable. I was in the behavioral sciences and sports psychomotor learning, and it became very heavily dominated by the physiologists and the biomechanists. And I was by myself. And actually, I was the only woman in the department too. So I left and I took a job at California State University, East Bay, and I became chair. When I went there, there was absolutely no research in the department at all. No one was doing any research. The provost and the dean told me, Penny, you got to scale this up around here. And I said, this is going to take a little while. It took longer than I thought. It took a number of years. Change is hard. And change is slower than we like sometimes. But you just keep plugging. And you keep plugging. And you keep plugging. And then something happens. And you just make a change. So I worked really hard to change that department. I'm very proud of that department now. It's full of wonderful faculty members that are engaged with students and engaged in research and engaged in service. There's a good crew out there, but it took longer than I thought. It was tough. In 1922, I retired, so I haven't been in a formal classroom. It's kind of nice to be back a little bit in a formal classroom for quite a while. Did I teach any classes? Yeah, somebody asked me today, did I teach? Yeah, there's a list of classes, but it doesn't matter. It's a whole bunch of classes over a 40-year period. You teach a lot of different classes. And then I just got interviewed recently for a leadership position. Or they wanted to know, Penny, if you've been a leader in a bunch of different stuff, what's that all about, or what's your philosophy? I guess I don't read leadership books, and I didn't really have a leadership philosophy. I guess my philosophy of leadership, my philosophy of teaching, and my philosophy of being a mother is, when they're down, you reach out your hand and you pick them up. And when they're doing well, you clap and reward. And when they're doing well, really well, you get underneath and you push them to the sky. So I guess that's my leadership philosophy, my teaching philosophy, and my philosophy of being a mom. Okay? It's pretty simple, I guess, but it kind of works, I think. It's a good one for me, at least. It doesn't work fairly good. So I've done a lot of research. That's part of my job. I research fund universities, and if you don't do that, you don't keep your job, you get fired. That's how it works. It's just part of the routine. So I've done a lot of research in Pam mentioned, all kinds of presentations. But what's really cool about it, I've also done presentations all over the world. I mean, how nice, how fun is this to look at some of these places that I've been able to go and travel to, which I never would have done if I hadn't been a professor and I hadn't been involved in research and doing things. So I mean, it's really pretty cool. Being involved in research is hard work. It's kind of invisible work a lot of times that you don't really see the outcomes of doing it, but it's really, really rewarding. And what's rewarding about it to me is you get to work with students and you get to work with colleagues. And you get to have fun. You have a lot, you work hard, but you have a laugh and you have a good time. And so it's really rewarding. I've also received lots of professional honors over the years, and none of those would have happened if I hadn't been a student of Rockport. It just would not have happened. I mean, there's a whole list of them down here, and that's really cool. I look at this one. I'm here, and it's really pretty exciting. And I talk about Rockport all the time to people. I mean, people ask, well, how'd you get Rockport? I went to Rockport, and I had a great experience, and I'm really proud of it. And I went to these other big universities and all that stuff, but it was here that I learned to start, and so it was really important. Teachers have lots of obligations. Okay, and it's kind of invisible sometimes. You think, well, what do professors do? They teach a couple of classes a week. What do they do? Move off and go to the golf course. But teachers, professors have they have research responsibilities. They advise students, they teach classes. They have to do some research, and that's different at different universities and requirement. And then they do service. And so I've done lots of service in lots of different organizations. And why is that fun? Why would I do this over and over rather than do it again? Because guess what? I get to work with wonderful people, and I get to do what I love, and I get to go to conferences and be with friends, and it's a good life. It doesn't pay as much as some other jobs, but it's a good life. And so for the last 18 years, I lived on this boat. Top left-hand corner, the boat was called Out and About, And I lived on there for 18 years. And when you live on the water or you're near the water, sailors have a sailing. When the wind changes, you have to adjust your sails. And the wind changed a lot in my life. And I had to adjust the sails a lot of times. But you just do it. You just pick it up and do it. There's my little house in Boulder, Colorado that thank goodness I kept. Because I couldn't buy it now, it's too expensive. I travel all over the world chasing my daughter around, okay? And there I am in front of my house with one of my other former students who is now a professor at Stanford, so I'm pretty proud of him as well. He's done really well. Pam mentioned all these already. I'm repurposed. I'm retired, but I'm repurposed. I'm still pretty busy, and that's fine because I love what I do. Okay, and it is fun. Working and loving what you do. I'm sure you have a lot of parents, uncles, aunts, friends, grandparents, whatever, and they have a job that they don't like. Okay, and you hear them say, "Oh, I have to go to work, And I have some neighbors that live near me in Boulder, and they said, "Why do you keep working, Penny? You're not, you're retired, I'm 75 years old. Okay, I just turned 75, I had 75 laps on my birthday. 75 years old, why do you keep working?" Okay, I keep working because I get to interact with friends. I feel good about myself when things happen like this. I mean, how cool is this? And so it's a great life, okay? So unleash your potential, do what you can. And I think the other thing is, find something you're good at. You're not gonna have any kind of job if you're not very good at it. Everyone that's sitting in this room has skills. They're all different, the different things that you do. Everybody has skills. When you find something that you're good at in your life, do it. Learn to do it better. Dig in, just go for it, and you'll have a blast. It'll be good. Okay, I'm winding down, I only have a few minutes left. I'm also, on this issue, I'm editor of this online magazine called Kinesiology Today. There's a new issue coming out. There was another woman that had more shots than Caitlin. If you want to find out about that, you can read the next issue of Kinesiology Today to find out who that was and why that happened. In Kinesiology Today, some of your two professors here have been highlighted on the front page. Rockford made the front page. Rockford on the front page. Also, students. There's an AKA National Award. Look at this. Students from Rockford. 2 years in a row. Gig Rockford. And guess what? This year another one. Okay? So you're well known. For students from Rockford, two good things. Okay? I'm going to skip that one. Here's another article I did for Kinesiology Today. I am a kinesiologist. And where did I learn to do that? At Rockford. Okay? So I wrote this article. There was when the departments of physical education changed from men's and women's to two different departments. And I was here. Here were the classes I took. And it's a well-rounded curriculum. Okay? Because I had classes across the board. Here's my transcript. I was really good at the psychological and the sociological things. I wasn't so good at the sports medicine and the other things. Those were B's. And I got 1 C. In lifetime sports, and here I am still lifetime. So I don't know what that's all about. And finally, I get to meet with colleagues all over the world. Over on the right is my friend Dr. Tara Scanlon from UCLA. As a result of going down to visit her, I got to have lunch with John Wooden twice. John Wooden lunch. How cool is that? Because I went to Rockford. That's how I got there. That's when she's my friend. I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't been at Rockford. Other people, some people I admire in the field, Dr. Paul Noel, who was Dr. Beach's advisor. I have the utmost admiration for him. Over there on the right is Franklin Henry. Here's some other lifelong friends that I've learned. Over on the right is Dave Scott, 6-time Ironman champ. He was my swim coach. So all of these people I got to meet. So what's my advice? My last advice to you is watch, because I believe you learn from watching. That's my area of research. Listen. Do. You just can't sit there. You have to do something. Do something, okay? And get good leaders, okay? And you have the opportunity here, these wonderful people that can mentor you and help you. If you go to any professor and you say, I need help, what can I do to do this? They will help you. They will help you. But sometimes you need to ask, okay? So please ask. And you'll have a good life, okay? And my family, my immediate family wasn't able to come tonight, so I'd like to recognize two of my friends who are sitting there in the back row over there. Diane Bailey, who actually has helped me work at NASPA, run NASPA conference for about over 20 years. And Diane is a Brockport graduate herself. She was here in 1980, and she was on the state volleyball championship in 1980. So thank you, Diane, for coming and visiting me tonight. And other person is Frank Ely. And Frank, Frank was an undergraduate student and master's student at Cal State East Bay when I was there. And he was in my graduate class, one of his last classes there, and it was a good class. And now he just got hired as an assistant professor at Ithaca down the road. So Frank drove up thanks from the bottom of my heart for having me here. It's great. The sky's the limit, and unleash your potential. Just do it. Does anybody dare ask a question? There's our Pete.
Heidi, is there anything you haven't done?
Yeah, lots. Yeah, I mean, there's so much, and it's just, all I say is just grab life by the handle, you know. And when you see opportunities, if you need help, ask for it. You know, if you're down and out, ask for it. Just be positive. That's an important thing too. If you're positive to your friends, if you're positive to your workers, anybody can do anything, I think, if they put their mind to it and they work hard. And they ask your help when they need it. Yeah.
Just with like all your accomplishments, like what was like your biggest like motivation, just out of like your joy?
That's a good question. She's asking what was my biggest motivation for doing all this stuff I do?
Yes.
Well, I think part of it is interacting with other people. I mean, I get to interact with fabulous people all the time, like my neighbors that weren't in academia. You know, they just say, why do you keep working? I get to do stuff like this. I mean, holy crap, how cool is that? I mean, so I think just when you get success, you get rewarded for it. You know, and then you say, well, maybe I could do better. Or maybe I could do something else. And then, but just the interaction with all of these wonderful people I get to interact with. And then, as an old lady, I'm 75, okay? I get to meet young people all the time. Like, and so my neighbors that weren't in academia didn't get to do that. It's easier to keep on the younger side, I think, or have a spirit when you get to interact with young people a lot. So it's just kind of fun and rewarding. But thank you. Any others? Yes, sir.
So whenever times got tough at your time of grad school, whenever you were working 40 hours and going from school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., what was kind of your motivation to keep pushing?
Well, I was doing good in school. I had those two advisors who were pushing me. You know, so then keep going. Like I said, I didn't have much fun. Like, I don't even know downtown street. I remember the Strand. I went by that today. I don't even think I saw a movie when I was here. I mean, I was really busy. And then I took really good notes. I was not like in high school, I was not a good student. I wasn't at the top. I couldn't get into University of Canada. My grades weren't good enough. So I'm not the top of the line here, okay? But I'm top of the line in terms of working hard. And there's no doubt about that. I work extremely hard. I think I learned that from my parents. They were hard workers. I took great notes. Everybody wanted my notes. And you know what I did with notes? I took really good notes in class. And then I rewrote my notes because my handwriting was like a little messy when I took it in class. I would rewrite my notes. Well, guess what? I already studied. By the fact I rewrote my notes in class, I already studied. And then I remember when I was here at Brockport, I had to take a math class, you know, for general ed or something. And I was doing, and I had 3 exams in one day. And so I asked my professor if I could have that exam another day in math. And he said, sure, come over on Tuesday at 7 in my office or something, outside his office and do the exam. I got there and he said, yeah. I had my little index cards and I'm studying, you know, and he said, you studied through this, didn't you? I said, oh yeah. He said, you don't have to take the exam. He said, Penny, I know you studied. You got good grades all semester. He said, and I know this is not your major. You just have to take the math class or through it. He said, I know you know. Go ahead. Study for your other exam. So hard work. Hard work, in my heart, I believe hard work gets you places. And you just do it.
Were you able to hang out with your friends still, like from school, or did you not really have a...
No, I didn't have a social life. I do now. Don't worry, I am. I have my friends in the back. They can swear I am the party animal. But I was not when I was here. I just didn't, because I didn't have enough money to pay for school. I ended up, after all that school I went through a PhD, I only had $1,000 student loan. Oh, some people sometimes pay you when you go to graduate school. There's ways to do it. So I didn't have to work 40 hours a week after I left here. And I got a PhD. It can be done. If you need any help, let me know. Any other questions? Oh, Pete's going to be, I don't want to take up Pete's time here. A couple more? Couple more in a minute, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
What would you say is your favorite achievement?
Oh, having a daughter. Being a mom is, well, now I'm a grandma. That's even better. Being a mom, and I'll tell you, as a woman, early on, she's 45 now, okay? And not many women in academia had children. I never took my daughter to school, to the university with me, because that would have been looked at as a weakness, because I was a woman. So it wasn't easy having a kid and then trying to be a professor. We have some folks in here, great. I could have said we had one. You know, so it was hard, but the biggest achievement was being a mom, I guess. And seeing my daughter grow and trying to help her grow is really cool. And then all the rest is, I don't know, they're all good. Like being here, this is huge. So, you know, lots of things. One more, and then that's it. Okay, last one.
I was gonna say, with all your achievements and everything, and you working on all these, like the editor and everything like that, what's dreams? What dreams do you have, like, besides that, like, going forward?
I guess I have dreams for our field of kinesiology, of physical activity, exercise, you know, the whole thing. And I have concerns because we're at a time now, for example, we know movement is good, right? That anybody in the street, oh yeah, doing exercise is kind of good for you, and yet we see physical education blocked in schools. What's that? We now know it's good for cognitive development, good for physical development, good for emotional development, and we're seeing schools drop physical education. Like, what are we doing wrong? So that's a problem. I also see a concern that people outside our field get more recognition for studying physical activity than we do. They always go to the medical guys, pediatricians, whatever. And we actually know a lot more than a lot of those people know about physical activity. So that's a concern. I'm concerned about our name. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble here. But I'm a true believer that kinesiology is the big umbrella term for our field. I'm going to get thrown out of the room here, I know, because I've reviewed your program, so I know that you don't have that name. In my heart, I think that's a good name for our field, because university presidents talk. Okay, and if they go to one school and the president says, oh, our kinesiology program is growing, we've got lots of students, and the other president says, oh, well, we don't have kinesiology. You don't have, no, we have exercise science. Oh, you have exercise science, we're all the same. You know, we know what it is. And we know that all those terms are us. But it's hard for other people outside of us to know that. So I do have a concern about that. And we've been working on it a long time and we haven't got it fixed. But I'm concerned about that because I think for us to grow and be recognized, we have to be together. We got to be a team. Yeah. Any other questions? That went for the heart on that one. Any last questions? We're good? Okay, thank you. Seriously.